They say that the devil's in the details, and with the Carolina Hurricanes, you know Rod Brind'Amour is focusing on the details as the Carolina Hurricanes get ready to play their second game of the 24-25 season.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I'm also write about the Chicago Wolves on a weekly column called Wolves Weekly. I am the co-host of the Search Cast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a fun show for you on this Tuesday edition of the pod, as we'll get to listen to Rod Brind'Amour's post-practice press conference with media on Monday, getting his thoughts as we get ramped up for Game 2. Also going to be previewing Game 2 as well, looking at the tails of the tape and looking at how these teams fare so far into the season. And then also going to wrap up the show with what my keys to the game is going to be, along with players to watch and my score prediction. But before we jump into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So without further ado, we are going to jump into the Rod Brind'Amour press conference, get his thoughts on what's coming for the game on Tuesday, and I'll give my thoughts afterwards here, right after this press conference with Rod Brind'Amour and media.
Rod, you had, I think, 2 days now, Pep's back on the ice. Is he any closer to being an option for you?
Yeah, I think he's, I don't think he's been cleared yet, but he had a good couple of days now, so hopefully he'll get the green light.
How about Riley? He's been in yellow now for quite some time.
Yeah, he's coming off one of those injuries that takes a lot of time, and you don't want to rush it, even though you feel good. I mean, Spesh had the injury. I mean, he practiced for a long time before we actually let him go. So that one's, I guess, still kind of wait and see.
How much does it help to have him here, though, and learning the system and everything?
Well, I mean, anytime you can, especially if you're just rehabbing an injury, you definitely, it's good that he can still be in the mix here and do most of the stuff that we're doing.
How hard is it to be patient? Everybody else is playing all these
Yeah,
games. And you're
well,
sitting there.
yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. We understand. I mean, it was a light schedule anyway, and then with the, the circumstances, taking a game away, it makes it real tough because everybody's in the flow now, and we're still not there, obviously. So, but what are you gonna do? That's the way it goes.
What was your biggest concern out of the first game? Was it the guys just weren't maybe ready to go all the way, or just maybe a different?
No, we were ready. We played our butts off. Everyone worked. You can't ask for the effort. Was phenomenal. It was just we were just not. Special teams was a disaster. If that's really what it was. I mean, and then we didn't do enough to really, I thought, get to our game. We were trying real hard, but just probably not the way we need to get it done.
What's the difference on a night when you are doing those things? Like, what do you see as a coach that makes a difference there?
You see us all on the puck and just playing in their end, and it's not just going back and forth like it was. It was just, that's really not how we do when we're on it.
What was the biggest special team problems?
Well, with just the execution, and the kill, we didn't do it right. And when you don't do it right in the NHL, you get burned. When you don't do it right against teams like that, that's exactly what happens. So, and then the power play, we did some good things. We entered well. There's a lot of, some things were okay, but just overall, we didn't generate enough. We got to have a little more killer instinct there.
You seem to take losses like that really hard as a coach. I mean, we know you're kind of wired probably different from some other coaches possibly, but just how hard is it for you to get, how long does it take for you to get over a loss like that?
Well, you move on. I mean, listen, we expect to win every night that we play. So when you don't, yeah, but you move on the next day, and we're already, we looked ahead, and you guys keep bringing up the last game. I mean, we moved way past that, but I get it. We only got one game to talk about.
How good is New Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, they've been one of the better teams for a while. I know they had a little hiccup last year, but that happens when you have injuries. People don't necessarily put enough stock in when you lose players. what that does to your team, it's a big deal. And I think they were, hit by that last year. And, their lineup got even better, I think, this year with the additions that they added. So they, real good team.
One of the top scorers is a guy you're pretty familiar with, and Stephen Nason, too.
Well, we know what he is, and he's just, he plays hard, and he knows he's got a real knack for the offensive side of things. I mean, he knows where to be and can score, and that's why we really appreciated him when we had him.
I guess that's one benefit to them playing their 5th game this afternoon already, is you get to see maybe the differences in how they play. Have you seen anything from what Sheldon's added to them?
No, everybody's playing essentially the same way. I mean, there's subtle differences in D zone, there's subtle differences in the neutral zone, but the theme behind everything is the exact same. Everybody's playing up tempo and high pressure, and playing fast and in your face. I mean, that's the NHL now. So there's no secrets. Everybody, you know where it's coming down to. It comes down to execution, and obviously, I think being in the flow. Getting that game speed up, because that's something that we, obviously we still got to get to.
Big thank you to Rod Brind'Amour and the Carolina Hurricanes for that, and a lot to take away from the press conference with Rod Brind'Amour, and the fact that the Hurricanes, while they did lose Friday night, it technically was a 2-1 game. Empty net goals kind of puts it 4-1. So the score is really deceptive of how the game went. And it was mainly the special teams that kind of let the Hurricanes down, kind of what bit them early on last year. And it's one of those things where if you look at the 5-on-5 play, the Carolina Hurricanes were 1-0. It's just, it didn't work out in their favor when you give the team like Tampa Bay 6 power play opportunities and they kill you on 2 of them, and that's their only goals. So it's one of those things where, you're glad 5-on-5 played well, but penalty killers didn't, they didn't stop all 6, or at least, stop 5. And, you go for 4. Power play looked okay, but, like Rod said, didn't really do a whole lot. So it's just one of those things. And you got to love the mentality that Rod has, too, just for being a former captain and former Stanley Cup champions. The fact that, they've only played 1 game. I know everyone wants to focus on it, but they're already ready for Tuesday against New Jersey. And that's the you kind of have to be at right now, because it's just, the way the game goes. And unfortunately, with the circumstances of losing Saturday's game due to Hurricane Milton, the Hurricanes have been off since last Friday, while New Jersey's already played their 5th game. And, everyone's pretty much in the swing of having 3-4 games under their belts, and the Hurricanes are still sitting at 1. So, it's kind of puts you in a tough situation overall if you're waiting to, you're waiting around trying to get games going and stuff like that, and you really can't do anything when the schedule has you playing a back-to-back Friday, Saturday, and then you have nothing until Tuesday, but then you lose a game to Mother Nature, and now you're sitting around and you have a single game going. So, it's definitely a lot of focus, on the team right now. But overall, if you look at it, it's one of those things where it was a special teams snafu. It didn't work out. So, you take from what you learn and move on and stuff like that. So that's where you got to go into Tuesday night's game against the New Jersey Devils and just see how you bounce back from that. And also talking to, Brent Lemieux's still going to be out. We're not sure when he's going to be back. So, hopefully a safe recovery for Pepe in terms of that nature. And then with Riley Stillman, you really think at this point right now, he's considered your 7th defenseman right now, when you look at the fact that, Bryson Montgomery on Sunday got, assigned to Bloomington with the Bison of the ECHL, along with Ruslav Kaisev, which we didn't talk about on Monday's episode, but it's something to bring up. And of course, Joachim Ryan's on the injury reserve list as well, and you wonder if he's an extra defenseman and stuff like that. But if you look at how the team is shaping up right now, I wouldn't be shocked if Riley Stillman is technically the 7th defenseman, because he's been there and done that with a bunch of different teams, especially the Buffalo Sabres, and what he's done with the Rochester Americans, and of course, former Hurricane kid. He's Corey Stillman's son, so former champion. So it's it's good to see another Stillman in the organization as well, and hopefully staying up as much as he can. Hopefully he's back soon. It's just nagging injuries, man. You hate to see it, but you got to hope that it's quick for him and stuff like that. But that's just kind of what the Hurricanes are dealing with right now. Is just trying to get through the fact that you have injuries to some guys you would love to have in the lineup right now. But I mean, it's still a good roster, all things considered. It's just you get through your first game, you had some hiccups. Special teams was mainly what bit you in the butt. But you just got to go from there and, just take in the Tuesday's game. And Rod even said it too. It's like, yeah, New Jersey's a good team, outside of last year. They've been good for the last couple, season before they were really good. Just last year, injuries kind of killed them. And right now they're absolutely flying and putting up some efforts in the NHL. And of course, Stefan Nason, you'd love to see it, former Hurricane leading the, in points, which we'll talk about in the preview. But it's just one of those things, man, where it's you after whatever you win or lose, you got you either celebrate it or you take it on the chin, and you got to get ready for the next game. That's all you can do at this point, because the NHL doesn't stop for anyone. It's like, yeah, you would love to mourn a loss or celebrate a win, and you can do that, for a little bit, but then it's on to the next one, and that's just what it is for an 82-game marathon that is the NHL. So stick around here for a second, guys. I will be previewing Game 2 here in a little bit in segment 2 of the show, and we'll dive into the stat leaders and looking at the teams overall. As while New Jersey has played more games, the Hurricanes have played one, but we'll definitely take the tails of the tape. So make sure to stick around as we'll dive into all of that here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Where can you do that? Well, you can do that at FanDuel.com. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So like I said, at the end of segment 1, we're going to start previewing and looking at the tail of the tape for Game 2 for your Carolina Hurricanes against the New Jersey Devils, as it will be a 7 p.m. puck drop. And luckily, it's going to be on Bally Sports. You're going to get it on the local channel, of course. It's also going to be on 99.9 The Fan with Mike and Tripp on the radio side, along with the TV side of things. So it's good to have the local guys back. Now, in terms of how this is going to go, this is the first of a 4-game season series between the Carolina Hurricanes and the New Jersey Devils, of course, tonight being Game 1. Then Game 2 is going to be on November 21st in New Jersey, along with December 27th in New Jersey as well. And that's going to be the last game will be in Carolina on December 28th. So the last 2 games of this 4-game season series is going to be a back-to-back with a home and home. Now, players to watch in terms of the stat lines that we have going on right now. Steph Nason does lead the team with 6 points. Paul Cotter has 4 goals, and with Nason having 4 assists. And, of course, Jordan Stahl with lead, tied for team lead in points, does have the lone goal for the Carolina Hurricanes, and then William Carrier has the lone assist. Now, looking at the goaltending, of course, Jacob Markstrom is 2-1-0 with a 2.71 goals against average and 9.06 save percentage. And then Jake Allen in 2 starts for the Devils, 0.50 goals against average and a 9.74 save with a shutout. So right now, goaltending is what New Jersey Devils needed to focus on, and right now they're pretty much getting it. You really can't say anything bad about Jacob Markstrom and his 2.71. Yeah, it's a little high, but still has a 9.06. And, of course, Jake Allen mainly going to be the main backup, but, you're 2-0 with a 0.50 goals against and a save percentage of a 9.74. Nothing to really scoff at. In terms of the Carolina Hurricanes, of course, 1 game. That's going to be Frederick Anderson with a 2.06 goals against and a 9.05 save percentage. Yeah, like I said, it was a 4-1 game, but he technically only gave up 2. So, really nothing you can do about that. In terms of the last 5 games, the Devils did win against Utah and the Washington Capitals. Lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs, but then won, their first 2 games were against the Buffalo Sabres. So that's kind of what you're looking at in terms of that. And, of course, with the Hurricanes, they did lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, looking at the team stats overall between the 2 teams, power play percentage, the New Jersey Devils are 21st in the NHL with a 18.2, compared to the Hurricanes with a 0%. Of course, it's on 4 attempts. Penalty kill. Oh, boy. We kind of know the Hurricanes kind of struggled in Game 1. They are at 66.7%. Of course, that's after they go 2 for 6 on Friday night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then, of course, right now the New Jersey Devils are sitting 5th on the penalty kill with a 93.3%. Face-off percentage, the Hurricanes do kind of lead in that aspect, 53%, sitting 7th in the league. And then the Devils at 52.1, which is 11th. Goals for per game, the Devils 3.4 which is 14th, while the Hurricanes are 31st with 1. But like I said, one game, really can't look at that and be like, we start raising the red flags. It is what it is. Goals allowed per game. The Hurricanes are 24th in the league with 4. What can you do? And then the New Jersey Devils are at 1.8, and they are sitting 6. And when you look at the defense that the New Jersey Devils have, I'm not really surprised with how they're looking at it right now. And it's one of those things where you have to hopefully you kind of break through and, give the Devils another loss on the season. And I even said it in my season, prediction episode not too long ago. When you look at the defense, when everyone's back healthy and ready to go. I mean, you got Brendan Dillon, Dougie Hamilton on their top pair, Jonas Siegenthaler, Jonathan Kovacevic, and then Samus Casey and Simon Nemec. Not a very, that's a pretty decent, defensive core, all things considered. And you're still waiting for Brett Pesce to come back from IR, and Luke Hughes is still out for another few weeks. So it's just when you get that group back together, that's going to be a very tough defense to crack. And right now they're putting up numbers to where you're not really giving a whole lot of goals. So that's why you kind of have to start, yes, it's only the second game for the Hurricanes. It's going to be, the 6th for the Devils coming up, but you got to hope that, you kind of crack a group right now that's really kind of feeling it, all things considered, where, Steph Mason's got 6 points in 5 games. Paul Cutter's got 5 and 5. Nico Heischer's got 4 points in 5 games with 2 goals and 2 assists. And they're even talking about, Jack Hughes only has 3 assists, but that's in 5 games. That's really something you got to worry about. And of course, with the Hurricanes, I mean, like I said, with one game, you've got Jordan Stahl with, him and William Carey only have the only points, and that's kind of where you're at. And that's why it's a hard thing to look at, too, when you're trying to figure out, okay, how are guys going to fare and stuff like that. And that's just kind of the bad aspect that you're in right now. Like I said, back in segment 1 is, you're the Hurricanes. You played 1 game. The Devils already played 5. Now they're kind of already in a groove, and now you're still kind of waiting. It's almost like, coming off of the All-Star break last year for the Canes. They had, they go into the, All-Star break, go play the game, and then they have a week off, and it's like you come back and it's, everyone's already been playing for the most part. You come back, you already had a week off, and you're kind of, start out a little bit slow, and that's kind of where you're looking at right now with the Hurricanes, is the fact that you're still kind of coming out of the gates, and it's like, okay, you played 1 game, you've been practicing a lot, but what are you going to do when you have other teams that have already been playing for so long? So it's definitely something that you have to consider going into this game. And of course, with the Hurricanes, we've been seeing it through, practice the last few days. Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis. Very interesting for the fact that you look at all preseason, and it was Roslovic on the top line, and they put Svech in game 1. I'm wondering if Rod still goes with that, or maybe they switch it back to where it was before. But right now, Roslovic, Kotkaniemi, Nietzsche, Martinuk, Stahl, and Carey is your third line. Then, of course, you're going to have Eric Robinson, Jack Shurry, and Jackson Blake. Defense, pretty much the same. Slavin Burns, Gostisbehere, Walker, Orlov, Chatfield. And you wonder, is it going to be Freddie Anderson in net once again, or do you go to Pierre Kochetkov? And while, yes, Freddie would be healthy, and I know on practice Monday, Pierre Kochetkov did start in the starter's crease. Of course, if you follow Walt Ruff enough, or you heard him on this podcast, if you're in the starter's crease, it doesn't mean anything if it's a non-game day. Like, will he be the starter for the game? Who really knows? That could really depend on how, practice goes that morning. But even then, it's not really a given of, oh, yeah, he's going to be in the starter's crease. Maybe not. But if it's me, I'd rather go with Pierre Kochetkov because, it's the second game of the season. You don't want him to sit forever because he's already been sitting for the most part since, the end of preseason. You get 1 game with Frederik Andersen in. Of course, Freddie's been sitting as well since Friday, but Pierre hasn't started a game yet. And if I'm the Hurricanes, I'm like, you know what? It's our, first game in a few days. You've got 3 games coming up this week. And, of course, you're looking at a back-to-back on Friday, Saturday. I would go with Piotr for this game against the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday. Then you look at the weekend, and I'm like, okay, you go Frederik Andersen Friday night against Pittsburgh, and then you go on Saturday, and you just go back with Piotr. So you kind of have this nice little switch off to where it's like, yeah, you got last Friday with Freddie. You go into Tuesday with Piotr. Then you just flip back to Freddie Friday and then go back to Piotr Saturday. And that's kind of where I think if you're the Hurricanes for this week, where you got 3 games, between Tuesday and Saturday, it's not a bad idea to go with your 1B in Piotr, then going back to Freddie, and then vice versa. Then that's just kind of how you finish the week out. But I'll be curious to see what Paul Schellfelder and the goaltending coach is going to say, and of course what Rod and the rest of the staff go with. But if you're asking me of who I think should be in net for Game 2 of the season against the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday night, it's got to be Peter Kochetkov. So that way he's not sitting around. And then, okay, if you play Freddie Tuesday, are you going to play him Friday? Like, do you really want to start Freddie Anderson 3 straight games, and you got Piotr sitting until Saturday? Then you're talking, 2, maybe 3, over 2 weeks of him just sitting around and not having any game action. Especially on a second half of a back-to-back, I wouldn't want to put that on the kid like that. Yeah, and if he's your guy of the future, I think you've got to go to Piotr in the next game, but that's just what I think is going to happen. So that's kind of previewing Game 2 and stuff like that in terms of the Carolina Hurricanes and the New Jersey Devils. But stick around here in a second as I'll do my keys to the game, players who I think that fans should watch, and my score prediction for Tuesday night's game against the New Jersey Devils. So stick around as I'll jump into all of that here in a second on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Hey guys, do you ever feel like you need a little boost in the bedroom? Well, it's time for you to stop worrying about your performance and get Hims, so you can feel confident knowing that you can just perform whenever you need to. In the Hims, with them, you have no insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. And with hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works best for you. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. That once again is hims.com/lockedon. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So, like I said, the end of segment 2, going over my keys of the game, players I think should watch going into the Tuesday night game for the Carolina Hurricanes against the New Jersey Devils, and also my score prediction. Keys of the game, just like the game on Friday night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, do not go into the box a lot. You had 6 penalties in game 1. Got to limit that. You got 2, maybe, sure. But you can't give, teams like Tampa and New Jersey, you don't want to give those guys multiple power plays because you're going to burn you. Especially with how the way the Devils are playing right now, where they're absolutely clicking. I just think the last thing you want is continuously go to the box, continuously getting stupid penalties, and just finding yourself in options where now you're 5-4, you're 5-3 and stuff like that, and you're burning your penalty kill guys. And then when you try to go 5-on-5, a lot of these guys are tired because they've been playing a lot more defense. And then you're limiting yourself on opportunities on 5-on-5 play. So once again, until we can see that the penalty kill unit is not going to be absolutely abused by too many penalties, my big key for this game, stay out of the box. It's just you're not doing yourself any favors. You got burned for 2 out of the 6. That's how you lost that game against Tampa. You gave up 2 power play goals when you had 1 even strength. The only reason why they scored is because you gave them the man advantage, and you don't do that against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that's the same thing you don't do to the New Jersey Devils, because right now they're absolutely clicking. And the fact that they've, their goals against average is under 2, and they have a goalie with a 0.5 goals against, and the other one's, yes, it's a high 2, but it's still a 906 save percentage. So you either go with Markstrom or Allen. That's still not a good feeling to be in right now, especially with the fact you look at what their goals against average is. Like I said, it's under 2. Yeah, you've only played 1 game and you scored 1 goal, and it's from your third line. If I'm, like I said, going to New Jersey, limit the penalties. You got to keep on 5-on-5 play, because the Carolina Hurricanes are a good 5-on-5 team. We've known that for years. They're excellent in the 5-on-5. They got to stay out. They got to keep it to even strength and stay out of the box. That's one of my key things. Is just please do not take a bunch of penalties, or we're going to be for a long night of special teams. Now, talking about that, going into special teams, if you get the power play opportunities, create more chances. Rod Brind'Amour said in the presser earlier in the episode, they had some good zone entries, but didn't really make a lot of chances. And I think if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, you've really got to have that power play going, especially when you look at the power play 1 unit where you got Nietzsche, Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis, and Gostisbehere. That is a heavy top power play group, and you got to be clicking with those guys, especially with the fact that you go 0 for 4, didn't create a whole lot. Yeah, you had a little bit of chances, but not enough. And I think if you're the Hurricanes and you really want the special teams to get rolling, that's a group that really needs to start hitting the ground running right now, because you don't want to go into a run where you're going into Friday against Pittsburgh and it's like, okay, you're 0 for 7, you're 0 for 8 on the power play. You don't want to start with an 0 for and whatever the number is after that. You at least want to have 1, maybe 2 power play goals. If you can at least get 1, then that's salvageable. At least you're somewhere in the range of, okay, this is somewhat working. If you go 1 for 3, fine. That's a 33%. You'll take that any day of the week. I don't care if you go 1 for 2. That's still 50%. But if you do have the opportunity to go on the special teams and on power play, you have to make the opportunity count and score a goal, because that's where you need it right now. Especially if your 5-on-5 is you have 1 goal. If you're on the man advantage, take advantage of it. That's why it's a man advantage. Take advantage of the extra guy you have. So that's, like I said, it plays into stop taking so many penalties. And then also on the flip side, take your opportunities when you have the chance to do it on the power play. You just got to do that for the Hurricanes. And that's just all it really is right now. And yes, it's game 1 of the season, but man, you cannot be having a start like this, where, like I said, you got Tampa, didn't really go your way. You got a division rival against the Devils, who you know is going to be fighting for the top spot in the division. You don't want to fall farther behind these guys. Yeah, they've played 5 games. You've only played 1. If you lose, they're 5-1, you're 0-2. You're putting yourself in a really big disadvantage to teams that are going to have possibly 10 points and you're stuck at 0. You got to come in hot, especially on the penalty kill. Got to shut them down. Don't take so many penalties, and also power play has to score some goals if they need to do anything else. And scoring goals, you got to put pucks on net. Yeah, you only lost by 2 shots on goal. You had 21, but you have to take quality chances. When I say shots on goal, I'm not talking the patented Carolina Hurricanes. Here's 40, 45 shots on goal, and about half of them are in the chest. I don't care if you take 21 shots a game. I don't care if you take 41 shots a game. As long as 60% or more is quality shots that gives you the opportunities for rebounds, Gracie goals, makes the goalie move left or right, make him move. Don't make him just stay stable. And don't let him see the puck so much. Throw a body in front of the net. Do something. You got to take away his eyesight. I don't care if it's Markstrom. I don't care if it's Allen. You got to take away the guy's eyesight, because if he's seen every shot, it's not going to matter. And you don't want to be able to get the opportunity to sit in front of it and just hit it right to the chest. That's like I said, you got to take the quality shots. I don't care how many shots you take. At least got to get 60% to where it's like, okay, you're making this guy move. 70% or 80%, great. Then you're actually putting up some chances. High danger chances are up. Instead of like 1 or 2, you got 6, 7 high danger chances, because you got to make these guys move. You got to make them work. You don't want to make this an easy night where you're just peppering him with shots. But then he's in a groove because he's seen almost all your shots. Look, if he's at 25 saves, let's say it's the second period, okay, he's in a groove. He's feeling it at that point, because he's got a bit, either it's 1 goal or 0 goals, but he's stopping pretty much everything. You don't want to have that for a guy like Markstrom or Allen. So like I said, you got to have the quality shots. You got to make that work. So like I said, penalty kill, don't take so many penalties. Limit it to 1 or 2. Power play, please take the advantage when you can. You can't go 0 for 8 after 2 games or 0 for 7. And 5-on-5 play, quality chances. You got to make these guys move. You got to make their night tough. Don't make it easy on them for just peppering them in the chest. Make them move. Make them do what they need to do to give yourself the better opportunity for rebounds or tips, or just get bodies in the front of the net. That's what you need to do if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. Players to watch. Obviously, as always, you got to look at that top line of Svechnikov, Aho, and Jarvis. Yes, a couple of them did have a -2, but those are empty net goals. But if you're looking at that top line, you got to have those guys clicking early. Yeah, I know they didn't score in the first game, but you got to get rolling. You're the big boys. You're the guys that got to get the team going. Because if you're not going, then you're putting a lot of pressure on your second group, on your second line. And that's with Roslovic, Kotkaniemi, and Nietzsche. Yeah, they're supposed to do stuff too. But if you're the top group and you're going to pay all that money, you got to start rolling. You got to start getting this team motoring. And, looking at the defense too, man, they only gave up 2 goals. Like I said, it was all the special teams. So the defense kind of did their job for the most part, but you got to make sure that you guys are sticking there as well. Making sure you're doing the defensive plays that are necessary and get the transition game going. That's what you got to look at. So like I said, I'm looking at, Brent Burns, do some lethal shots, do what you need to do to get the puck on net, be that offensive guy the Hurricanes traded you for, and another guy I want to take a look at, Jesper Kotkaniemi. You're going to be in for a tough matchup against Nico Hischier. How are you going to do on faceoffs? Obviously, did great, got 72% in game 1, but can you keep that going? And can you help produce productivity and set up your guys on your line? Because you got to set up Jack Roslovic. You got to set up Martin Necas. So just very quickly, I'm looking at you for this game to where I want to see consistency in the faceoff dot. Like I said, you were 72% last game. Continue it, but also set up your guys as well, because if the first line isn't clicking right away, you got to make sure you got that second line rolling as well, so that way the rest of the lines can keep chugging along and making sure that it works out for the Hurricanes. So like I said, my keys of the game, that's just how it is for the keys. Players to watch as well. Like I said, you got Kotkaniemi. You got to look at that top line, and you got to look at Brent Burns and the rest of the defensive core to get transition play going as well. Now, my predictions for the game, I said 4-2 for the Hurricanes against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Didn't go so well. I'm still feeling optimistic for the Hurricanes in game 2. It's at home at Lenovo Center. You had some extra days off. New Jersey did play, on Sunday night, so you're kind of hoping that you kind of have a little bit of a mojo going into the second game. You want to bounce back from it. I am going to say 4-3 Hurricanes. And, first goal, I'm going Seth Jarvis, first goal of the game. We'll love to see him, get off the schneid, second game of the season, get his first goal. And I say game winner. Why not? Martin Necas. Let's go with the Martin Necas game-winning goal. Let's go with Seth Jarvis getting the first goal of the game. And I think Pierre Kachek obviously going to get his first win of the season. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Who do you think is going to score the first goal of the game for the Carolina Hurricanes? And what's your score prediction in game 2 against the New Jersey Devils? But that will wrap up this Tuesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at OneTrueZach on X. Podcast is L_Hurricanes. I do have a link sharing my bio where you can check out all my articles at their Hockey Writers, or just go to thehockeywriters.com. Dropping a lot more articles later this week for your Carolina Hurricanes, and also check out the Chicago Wolves Weekly, which will be coming out very soon. If you also want to check out my other podcast, the Searchcast, there's links to find that on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. With this podcast, you can search this podcast on all podcast platforms at Locked On Hurricanes, and also on YouTube as well. Now on the podcast, leave a 5-star review, because I might just read on the show. For the YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up to let me know if you like the show as well. And like I said in the comments, give me your score prediction and give me your first goal of the game on Tuesday night against the New Jersey Devils, and maybe a game-winning goal as well. So let me know what you think about that. Share the podcast with all Arcaniacs that you know, so they become everydayers just like you, because we are over 1,000 subscribers. And stick around. I will be announcing the very special announcement I've been saving on for a little while now, as we finally hit the 1,000 subscribers. But let's just keep hitting subscribers. Let's keep going. Let's go to 2, 3, 4, 5,000 more. Let's just keep this ball rolling and making this a really popular Carolina Hurricanes podcast. But I hope everyone enjoyed the Tuesday episode of Locked On Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoys their Tuesday night. Hopefully see a win from your Carolina Hurricanes. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes.